Well, my name is Annika Ferdine. I'm the campaign associate for Environment Minnesota, and I'm joined today by Representative Alex Falconer, the representative for Minnesotan Legislative District 49A. Representative Falconer, thank you so much for being here today. We're here to talk about the Boundary Waters Canoe Area, and more specifically, the bill you've authored, HF 309. So to start us off, can you just give us a little background about yourself and what your work in the House of Representatives looks like?
Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, thanks for having me on. Yeah, so Alex Falconer, 49A. It's my first term in the Minnesota House. It's part of kind of the southern half of Minnetonka, the northern half of Eden Prairie is my district. Um, in the House, I'm on the Environment Committee as well as Education Policy and Commerce. So three areas that fit me pretty well. Obviously, the Boundary Waters is a very specific passion of mine, as well as just protecting clean air and water everywhere around the state. And then also, we've got great schools and a thriving business climate out here. So three committees that I think fit myself and the district pretty well.
Yeah, great. So yeah, just to kind of dive right into the Boundary Waters, what are some of your personal experiences in the area? Do you have a history of visiting the area?
Yeah, it's a the Boundary Waters is kind of is definitely sacred ground for myself and my family. I mean, my first trip. I don't even remember as an infant with my being brought in with my grandpa, which I think just kind of goes to highlight one of the unique and special aspects of this wilderness is that it's accessible for all walks of life and physical abilities. I mean, it's not like you have to hike into a desert or up a mountain. You don't have to carry your own water with you because you're literally just floating on the water. The water's so clean you can drink straight from the lake. I mean, it's 45 years of Boundary Waters travel for me, and we've only filtered our water a handful of times, just because the water is so genuinely so clean. You can just drink straight from the lake, just dip your bottle or cup side of the canoe. So, um, yeah, and now with my kids, we go multiple times every year. So it's really fun to just see the wilderness from their perspective through their eyes and watch them grow up loving and appreciating this place. So it's something that's just been so special, um, and just closely held by myself and our family.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it is a pretty special place.
Yeah.
So in that bill specifically, you talk about two main areas. So the Boundary Waters Canoe Area and the Rainy Rivers Headwater. What's the difference between those and why is it important to include both of them in that bill?
Yeah, so the Boundary Waters border, as it exists today, was created after a couple legislative maneuvers in the past that to set up the wilderness. So, a wilderness, for example, a lot of people, if they don't realize like wilderness versus national parks. So if you think about Yellowstone National Park, everybody is aware that that exists if they haven't been. There's roads, there's power lines, there's lodges, there's restaurants, there's all of these human infrastructure, modern amenities in it. Separate that from a wilderness where there's no human impact. There's no permanent infrastructure with the exception of latrines and fire grates at campsites. Other than that, it's left as nature intended. So that's the border of the wilderness. However, it's within a watershed. So if you think just back to just basic kind of geography um, from middle school, high school, where land is higher in one spot, water is going to flow down. And kind of the marquee example is the Great Continental Divide along the Rockies, where it separates west versus east water flow at the surface. Well, northern Minnesota, there's a continental divide called the Laurentian Divide, which runs from the Rockies, kind of zigzags through the state, northern part of the state, eventually going up to Hudson Bay. Anything north of that area, water flows north, which the Boundary Waters is north of that Laurentian Divide, and everything would flow north. So that's why the watershed is important to protect because while you can't have any human infrastructure in the Boundary Waters border itself, which would include mining, you can't mine within the wilderness border itself. The current proposal is to have a sulfide or copper mine directly adjacent to the wilderness outside the border, but within a quarter mile of it. And then several deposits being looked to be exploited for the resource are all on Birch Lake, which is part of the Cushway River system, which just feeds directly into the wilderness through the heart of the wilderness, with all of its thousand interconnected lakes via marshes, bogs, rivers, other forms of groundwater, where everything is really connected. So the watershed is the focus of the bill, just because. Yeah, sure. You can't mine in the boundary waters, but if you mine directly adjacent to it, where all the pollution is going to flow into the wilderness is still very much at risk from potential sulfide or copper mining.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Um, so with this bill, does it ban all types of mining in the area?
Nope. The bill only focuses on sulfide or copper mining. There's other more benign forms of mining that we have in northern Minnesota. You know, we have a very rich, long-standing iron mining industry. The bill specifically allows for iron deposits to be mined. Just so happens there's not really anything economically viable to do so, but if something were to be found in the future, iron mining would still be allowed, as well as sand and gravel and granite quarries are other allowable mining resources. You know, it snows a lot. We need sand on the roads in the winter, and so that's very much something that's necessary for the area. And yeah, there's all of this again outside of the wilderness border, but there are some commercial granite quarries where they'll cut out granite to sell for whatever granite's used for, countertops or whatnot. So those things are all specifically allowed. They're much more benign. They're typically shallow, um, uh, minimal ground disturbance, and these are activities that have been going on for decades. And so we're not trying to carve anything out that's not going to be environmentally catastrophic.
Yeah, great. So yeah, Antofagasta and its subsidiary Twin Metals are kind of the main players in this mine proposal. Their website says they're committed to developing and operating a safe, sustainable mine for workers and the environment. Do you think anyone can be sure that this mine won't cause harm to the environment?
No, and twice executive leadership within Antofagasta or Twin Metals has publicly said that they can't guarantee that they're not going to pollute the boundary waters. Once to the Star Tribune, another time in front of congressional testimony, of which they called the question unfair. It's like to me, it's kind of the only question. Are you going to pollute the boundary waters? Can you promise not to? And if they can't promise that they're not going to pollute the boundary waters, what are we even talking about here? It's just it's inherent in this sort of mining, sulfide or copper mining, always pollutes across the entire United States and as well as the world. Just kind of basic chemistry lesson. You take sulfates that have been sealed off in bedrock for a billion years and expose it to air and water for the first time. It's immediately air plus water and sulfates equal sulfuric acid, and that's going to diffuse out, if not immediately, over time into the nearby ground and surface water. And like I said, all that is north of the Laurentian Divide will flow into the wilderness, potentially in perpetuity. In the United States, a lot of copper mining happens in the arid Southwest in the desert. And even where it rains very minimally, it still pollutes. This sort of mining still pollutes water. Um, Minnesota, a lot of snow, a lot of rain. It's hard to imagine a scenario in which it's um, not going to impact the environment in the area.
Yeah, all right. So we've been seeing a lot in the news about a federal resolution moving through Congress right now. Does that piece of legislation have any impact on the state level bill that we're talking about?
The impact on the state level bill is that it makes it all the more emergent to try to get it passed. The feds under the current administration are very much trying to do everything that they can, along with Representative Stauber, to roll back really hard fought for and won uh, mining protections for the watershed and in service of the boundary waters. Um, so the resolution would undo the current mining moratorium, the mining ban that's there, and then would allow the administration to really fast track and get mining permits scooted through the federal process. So the state bill, if that were to not be allowed, would the state still has to play an important role in permitting any mine? They're the ones that the Department of Natural Resources signs off on the mine permit at the end of the day, which also includes water and air permits. And so without a state permit, they can't operate a mine in Minnesota. And so my bill would just disallow this one type of mining activity from the entire watershed, whether it's on federal, private, or state lands, just because of the known and scientifically verified evidence that this would pollute the boundary waters. So their only real impact is that it just kind of puts a highlight on why we need to work super aggressively if the resolution were to pass and the projections were undone.
Yeah, great. So yeah, kind of switching gears a little bit. Some of our favorite and most used electronics, like phones or electric vehicles, are made with some of the minerals that are proposed to be mined. Do we need this copper mine to keep making those electronics that we use every day?
No, copper is not at all a rare resource. It's become kind of a political football. It's easy for proponents to say, just hold up their phone and be like, "Well, look at all the copper in here. Where are you going to get it?" Um, at the USGS, the Geologic Survey, has metrics that if we weren't to open another mine, so based off of current production and usage rates, we have over we have hundreds of years of copper available to us. I think it's something like 400 years. Um, so there's no emergency. On top of that, all of this mine, all of the ore mined is already predetermined to be sent to China for processing, and then we would have to buy it back. And who knows with this administration, under probably some sort of tariffed rate, making it even all the more expensive. Really, at the end of the day, this mine just helps China corner the copper market. And they're an on again, off again economic adversarial country. So it's of absolutely no and potentially even detrimental national security to one, destroy our wilderness, but two, in service of China's copper market or dominance, and then also as a Chilean mining company, profits going to Chile. I struggle to see any benefit to Americans in this.
Yeah, to kind of wrap things up a little bit, what can Minnesotans be doing to help support this bill this year?
We really need people to raise their voices. Before the legislature, I came from both electoral politics and issue organizing and a community organizing at my heart. And I firmly believe that people's voices do matter, especially at the local and state level. So writing in, responding to petitions, but making personal phone calls and or personal emails, the mass submissions are great, kind of gives us a sense of where people are at large. But if somebody can write in with a very personal story, that's gonna, sink in. The storytelling is very important. So please reach out to your state elected officials, to the governor. The DNR has a very important role. The governor needs to know. And it's an election season. Everybody knows at this point, Amy Klobuchar is running for governor. Need to be talking to her and her campaign, as well as then every other person that's running for office to make this an actual electoral issue too. So can dance both sides. Talk to the policy side, the official currently elected representatives and our governor's office, but then also keep an eye on the elections and make sure every candidate knows that this is an important way for them to secure your vote.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot people can be doing, so that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything else you want to share about the bill? Anything else to share with the people who are listening?
No, I don't think so. I think we covered a lot. I think just the Boundary Waters is one of these places where um, it's just too sensitive and special and unique to be put at risk from this sort of mining. We as a society get to pick and choose where we should allow mining. We've set up very similar protections for Yellowstone, for the Grand Canyon, other kind of marquee spots that have been set aside for every Minnesotan, every American to enjoy. And scalping off the surrounding landscape, turning into a mine that's going to pollute forever, is just not something that we should let happen here. For over 100 years, this area has been managed as a wilderness to be set aside. Um, we decided no industrial activity. Other areas in the state and the country, we obviously need modern life and industrial activity. There's places we can pick and choose. So this isn't an anti-mining bill itself. We obviously need mining. This is just a very much pro boundary waters bill. We just need to protect the wilderness. There's no other one like it. We could find another mine somewhere else. We can't find another boundary water somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. Representative Falconer, thank you so much again for joining me today to help answer some questions about your Boundary Waters Protection Bill, and I look forward to talking more in the future.
All right. Thanks so much.
Yep, thank you.